Hello everyone, Cass here. I just want to give all of you guys a bit of an update, what I've been up to lately. And so ever since that last upload that I made on, what I would do to Dark and Darker if I had the keys, essentially, I've decided, sitting there and, wishing for things isn't gonna make what I'm trying to make happen. So me and some like-minded people have gathered together to just go build the game that we want to play. Essentially, we don't want to wait around for any other developers and whatnot to build the game because I don't think anyone is going to. So we're gonna do it ourselves. We don't have a lot of experience, but we're picking up people and we're learning things as we're going along. So I just want to sell like this idea to you guys basically and see if there's an interest for a game like this. We just want to know. But even if there isn't, we're gonna go make it either way because we want this game to exist so badly. So yeah, I just want to tell you guys about how it's going to play, how it's going to work, and how you guys could potentially help out make it a reality. So let me start off with, what is Project Vision? So it's simply gonna be a fantasy extraction, dungeon crawler type game, kind of like Dark and Darker, and all the other ones that has come out, but with our own spin on it. So we want to capture the difficulty and like the hardcore elements from like Tarkov, for example, like their health system. We want to have something like that in our game. In fact, we have already built, the modular, health system, limp-based health. That has been completed. The reason why we want to go with this design specifically is because we want to make you, the player, feel like you're driving a vehicle. Like when you play your character, I want you to feel like, you are just a bunch of, mechanical parts, like you're driving a car. I want, a bunch of your body parts to be able to be hurt, like you hurt your legs, you get slowed. You hurt your arms might be weaker, you might swing a little bit slower. Things like that. I want more ways for you to get hurt then, essentially. Because I don't know if you guys, or a lot of you guys have played games like Escape from Tarkov, but have you ever had like a gunfight where like you and whoever you're fighting, like you basically shot each other up so badly that you're bleeding out of like 10 different holes with a bunch of broken bones and you're like stumbling away like you know what I mean? If you played those games, you know exactly what kind of adrenaline pumping, like, fights that I'm talking about. And I want to recreate that in our game. I want the fights to be, brutal and just visceral, just to simply survive, I want every step that you take to feel like a win. So that's why we want the, we're going with this health system specifically. And we're building the combat around it. We want to give the game a lot of itemization depth. We want to have loot that, is fun to pick up and experiment with. So we're making all the weapons and equipment modular. Like, for example, like a sword, it's made out of a handle, the handguard, the blade. We want that to all be, be able to be built out of different materials. So we can, impart stats on it based on what it's made out of, which means people can identify, what they're fighting, what they're looking at. If it's shiny looking, steel blade, you can tell that it's pristine. And if someone's using some rusty, dusty looking ass, sword, you'll be able to tell, that they're probably not that geared. And if someone looks kind of like, sauced up, you'll be able to tell, like, what they are, from just looking at them. So I want a lot of stats and, like, cool attributes to be directly imbued into, yeah, like an item. Like you can see it. It's visually distinct items. So weapons will be modular, down to like, imagine like a magic staff down to like what wood it's made out of, what crystal is attached to it. Again, we want that to encompass the entire game design, and we know that we can do it. It's not impossible, so that's what we're gonna be doing. And yeah, next, inventory system. We're actually gonna keep the inventory system rather simple. It's just grid based. You can rotate your items, and depending on what kind of backpack you have, it'll just be different shapes. Maybe the backpack will be bigger, smaller. So there'll be ways to upgrade your backpack by just finding a better one, or maybe crafting a better one. So that's it. Nothing else to it. Very simple. Class system. This is how we're going to do our class system, and we're going to stick to it. So essentially, there will be no classes. Instead, we're going to do 5 basic attributes, which is strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. So essentially, when you're leveling, each time you level up, you'll gain a skill point, and you can input your skill point into one of these attributes. These attributes are linked with our itemization system. So imagine this. Imagine you're trying to use this big ass wormhole. To wield this thing, you're gonna need 15 strength. Let's just say 15 strength as example. If you want to wear this plate armor, you might need a lot of strength. You might need some constitution. And if you want to wear use this wizard spell book, you might need some intelligence, and a little bit of wisdom or something like that combo, or just one of those stats. So essentially what these attributes do is allow you to wear equipment that you want to. Like if you want to use like a longbow, then you might have to put a lot of points into dexterity, for example. You guys are getting where I'm going with this. So I'm essentially tying attributes down to the gear, so you can basically kind of create your own class. So for example, let's just say you want to become like a paladin type character. So maybe you start putting in points into like some constitution and some intelligence, let's say, and like a strength hybrid, constitution, intelligence, and strength. So you can wear some plate gear, and you have a bit of intelligence to use like a casting device, which enables you to cast spells on top of being able to wear some plate. But then you sacrifice other stats, so you can kind of create your own class. And this is how we're also tying the magic system into all of this. So you can get 5 those static attributes, right? So strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. You get that by leveling up. You can put points into that. What you will not be able to get is the attributes that are tied to gear. So you're gonna have to wear some gear to get some attributes to be able to do other things. For example, let's say you're you want to be able to cast holy magic. You want to be able to cast spells that vanquishes evil and heal people. For that, you might have to wear clothing that looks like monk clothing. Imagine some cleric monk looking ass clothes. You put that on, and it'll give you a stat called, let's say, Fate. Fate enables you to cast those spells. You guys follow so far? So if you want to cast let's say some evil magic, you're gonna have to wear clothing that gives you, I don't know, some evil stat that enables you to cast evil magic. And if you wear, some plate armor, that it might give you some fighter-related attributes that it unlocks, the ability for you to use a bunch of, more physical acrobatic skills. So essentially, just we're gonna give people as many abilities and spell selection and categories of things as possible, and people can kind of just build their own classes. So if you want to be a barbarian type person, you might spec into a bunch of strength, a bunch of constitution or whatever, and then you can use a bunch of strength related skills and some constitution related skills. And if you want to be a wizard, you can spec fully into intelligence and some wisdom. which enables you to use wizard gear, and then on top of, and then you basically craft and find wizard gear that you want. Like again, you want to cast some elemental magic, put on some, elemental, gear. Again, use your imagination. We've also taken it an extra step. So the magic system. So if you want to cast spells, you're gonna start off with not a lot of spells. We're gonna give you like some very, very basic spells to cast. So and it will be that tied down to a mana system. So essentially, spell books will have pages. You have to go find the cool spells you want to cast in the game. All right. So if you want to cast like a fireball, for example, or like a lightning storm, you're gonna have to go find that in the game. These are physical items that you can insert into the book, all right, which will unlock the ability for you to cast these spells. And obviously, you can lose the spell book, obviously, because if you die, right, you can lose the spell book and lose your spell. So finding cool spells will be like, it's like a currency in itself as well. You can bring it, you can use it, and you can lose it. I think it's fair. I think it just, adds more things for people to loot, and, make some cool build, you can lose it all. That's what we're building, essentially. Fuck. What else do I need to mention? Level design and questing. So how we want to do the level design and the maps, we want to make a handcrafted map. We're not going to randomize rooms and modules. We're going to have a handcrafted map with a shit ton of points of interest dotted all over the map. And we're basically, like, imagine this. You find some old lady in the map, and she's telling you to find her lost cat, at a cemetery. So you take the quest. All right. First of all, you're gonna have to like run into this NPC. Again, we're gonna place a bunch of NPCs that will give you quests around the map, and it'll lead you to a bunch of interesting quests. Essentially, we don't want to do fetch quests like bring me 5 kill 5 skeletons, bring me 10 bones. We're not gonna do any of that. We're gonna a handcrafted map with a lot of points of interest and secrets. All right, we want to emphasize exploration. We want people to walk around and figure things out. All right, this old lady telling you to go find her lost cat, and she tells you that she lost the cat at a cemetery. So you, as the player, gonna have to figure out, okay, so where is the cemetery? Which cemetery? There might be multiple. You don't know, but you go out there, you go try to find the cat, and maybe the cat is hard to find, or maybe you find the cat, and the cat, once you get to it, decides to run away. Poof! If I can teleport somewhere, and you're like, okay, so now you have to keep looking for the cat, and then maybe the cat ends up in like some barn. You walk in there and there's just shit ton of monsters looking out to cook you. So basically, that's how we're going with the quest design. Like imagine RuneScape, like some old school, RPGs. That's how we're gonna do our quest, and we're gonna tie this down to the map. We want to add in a lot of secrets. Like maybe you flick this lever and it opens some secret door. We want you as the player to be able to use your map knowledge as a currency. Like we want to pack the map with as many secrets and points of interest as possible, that you exploring the map is as fun as just anything else. Like maybe you see that there's something out of place, like a rock that shouldn't be there, and you interact with it. The rock moves, and all of a sudden, again, like a hidden doorway appears. Or imagine like a magic wall that doesn't have a hitbox. You walk into it, all of a sudden you find yourself in a completely hidden compartment in the building, and it has some, a gigantic chest in it that can drop some hella loot. And I want the player to be able to, like compound and collect all this information and actually, use it, like get better at the map and learn where things are. And yeah, you guys get what I mean. I just want the map to be as important as every other aspect of gameplay. Like I want people to explore and have fun figuring shit out on their own. One more thing, the combat feel. So there's one thing we're putting like a lot of priority to right now to getting correctly is combat. We want the movement to feel right, the animations to feel right, we want the sound to sound right, we want everything to feel right, because one of my biggest gripes with all these other you know, melee, you know, fantasy extraction games is that all their combat systems are ass. All right, so we want it to feel right, because if your swings doesn't feel meaty and your movement doesn't feel right and the sound doesn't sound right, we might as well scrap the whole game. There is no point to any of this. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on making it feel right. It needs to look right and feel like, and honestly the gold standard for me is Dark and Darker. I have such a hard time playing any other games of this genre because of Dark and Darker, because it feels right. Like just simply walking around feels right. Swinging, hitting things, it's satisfying, and we wanna put the highest amount of priority on getting that correctly, which comes to where we are at right now in the development. We are trying to get that part functional. We're trying to get the combat to feel as smooth and holy as possible so that we can build all the other systems around it bit by bit until we get a minimum viable product that we can eventually show off to you guys and get everyone to test out. Yeah, that is the vision, and I will say this right now, I can be a very flexible person. I can adapt on the fly, but I am not willing to compromise on the original vision for this game. Like, me and the team, we are focused. We know what we want. Like pretty much everything I've just mentioned to you guys in this video so far, this is what we're going to make. All right. If any of these things are missing, there is no point to any of this. We want this. We're not gonna flip flop. This is what we want, and we're gonna make it happen whether there's interest in this or not. Because I don't want to sit around and wait for someone to make this game. Like for me, this is like a dream game for me. Like it has like the tension and the stresses of like a game like Tarkov, but also the old school vibe of like, you know, like old school like RPGs of exploration and finding out secrets, and you know, just a sense of adventure. You know, like I want to have that in the game. I want to feel that sense of adventure again, and at the same time having the depth, you know, of the like all the loot and all the gear, how it all like, you know, feels like a box of Legos. And I want to give as many tools for the players to play around with as possible. Like I don't want to, you know, force people to play a certain way. I want to give you guys as many tools to troll and kill each other as possible, just and let you guys just go ham with it. That's it, while keeping it reasonable still. All right. So just so you, I'm not gonna let things run out of control. Okay. We want to keep things, you know, reasonable and playable for everyone. That's a big goal of ours. What else do I have to mention really? So yeah, that was pretty much it. How, you know, if you guys want to help out, we are looking for people that could help out. We don't have a lot of like, you know, any like animators so far. Like someone that can like work on animations, that'd be dope. If someone wants to help out, someone on level design, stuff like that. So we're pretty much looking for anyone that has, you know, any remote experience in game development, like no matter how minute. If you know, semi know what you're doing, feel free to reach out to me, and yeah, if you want in, sure, why not? But yeah, that's about it. When can you guys like expect like a playable demo? We don't know, because we're just starting off. None of us really has any experience in game development, so we can't really tell you. But what I can say is that we're gonna damn try make it happen. All right, at bare minimum, we're gonna try to at least get a playable demo out there eventually. I don't know what the timeline is, so just kind of like I'll probably give all of you guys like a weekly or like a monthly update, so you guys can at least like know if any progress is being made and what kind of progress is being made. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll leave a link to the Discord for the for the project, so you guys can like follow like what's going on in there, because I have a lot of the channels open, so you guys can kind of like follow the development process basically and where we're at. So if you guys are interested, the link is in the description. And that's about it. I'll see you guys, I guess.